Hi, it's Lee and welcome to the Tesla Economist. When will Tesla have a valuation of $1 trillion again? Or the stock price hit around $320? It's a big valuation, but it might actually be possible sooner than many believe. Lately, Tesla have been taking on PE ratios of 50 to 60. Some might say considerably high given the current economic climate of what some people are calling a recession, or referring it to still being in a bear market. Many others, though, are saying we've seen the recession already, and now we've entered a new bull market. Inflation may still be around, but we are seeing disinflation, so inevitably we will eventually see interest rate drops within time, and the market is forward-looking and pricing these in already. Hence why we are now back to high PE ratios for Tesla. Well, if Tesla can support a PE ratio of 60, then all it takes is $16.6 billion in earnings to get back to a valuation of $1 trillion. Alright, that is a reasonable large amount of profit to generate, but can Tesla achieve that? And if so, when? Well, if we take Q4 earnings, we had $3.7 billion. If you annualize that, then we're at $14.8 billion. We're saying that we just need $16.6 billion at a PE ratio of 60 to hit $1 trillion valuation again. That's not actually a very big difference. We currently have a relatively low trailing 12 months in earnings due to some issues we saw last year. The cash furnaces, the lockdowns in Shanghai, the downtime for upgrading Shanghai, the gap deliveries. Q2 earnings was down over 30% from Q1 last year, to give you some idea. Sure, now we have price cuts that have perhaps reduced auto operating profits by as much as half, but we've also seen demand and production increase. Most Tesla bulls are expecting this Q1 to actually beat Q4 in earnings, and if deliveries are above 450,000 for the quarter, this is certainly a possibility. As we also have a few extras now too. The US government are giving Tesla subsidies on battery production, of course tax credits as well, meaning Tesla don't have to lower their actual prices as much to still generate enough demand. But potentially the most exciting side is the growth of the energy business. The Lathrop factory has a capacity of 40 gigawatt hour a year run rate, which is potentially revenue of a further $20 billion a year. Even at a 30% margin, then including subsidies, we could see earnings close to $20 billion. This alone could take earnings close to $20 billion. And then we're also expecting some vehicle growth for the year too. Only 400,000 delivered in Q4, with expectations to average 450 to 500,000 a quarter for 2023. And with Tesla's operating leverage, all that additional gross profit goes straight into operating profit. So with PE ratios of 60 or even 50, Tesla can grow into a $1 trillion valuation. On the other hand, this bull run could keep going without Tesla even disclosing any more earnings, implying Tesla's PE ratio could keep increasing too over this time. No one can predict what may happen because no one can predict the madness of crowds or insanity of people. Many intelligent people have been burnt badly in the stock market, underestimating what markets are truly capable of. There really is nothing more random or unpredictable than the stock market. Isaac Newton said he could calculate the motions of the heavenly bodies, but not the madness of people, after he lost a fortune in the South Sea bubble. And the famous economist John Maynard Keynes' classic quote, "Markets can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent." Many people are predicting a real recession, possibly severe. Even Elon often mentions the possibility of one coming. But no one can predict that, and usually before any crash, the insanity of the markets reaches further than anyone can ever predict. In the case of Isaac Newton, he had invested in the South Sea Company when the stock was around £100 and cashed out when it tripled his money. But his friends had not and rode it up to £700. From there, he decided to reinvest 3 times as much back in and rode it up to £920 until it finally crashed. This is typical of bubbles. It's just human behaviour. Similarly now, we do not know what may happen in the stock price. Tesla could very well go back to all-time highs. It could even go to $1,000 on this run. The run might last until sometime in 2024. We don't know. But as the former Citigroup CEO Charles Prince said, as long as the music is playing, you've got to get up and dance. And it sounds like the music is still playing. If the market becomes more bullish, then investors start believing in possibilities more. They believe in disruption, technology, and growth. They believe we're entering new paradigms like AI, robotics, and by association, self-driving cars. Compared to a recession or depression, when people have less hope of the future and are more concerned about getting by just in the present. Hence why high-paying dividend value stocks do better in such times compared to growth stocks, and vice versa. But if the market is feeling bullish and optimistic about the future of the world, then being presented and shown robotaxis and advances in FSD will strongly reinforce the narrative that anything is possible, especially with a company like Tesla, and especially when we see the Cybertruck in production. Seeing will increase belief with that vehicle. Even if it takes time to hit volume production, we know just how popular that vehicle is going to be. The same for the semi-truck. When we start seeing them break ground for the Giga Nevada extension, it will further fuel the confidence of how big Tesla can become when the market is facing a more optimistic sentiment. If Tesla eventually reach 500,000 Cybertrucks a year, then we might expect another $10 billion in gross profits, around $20,000 profit per unit. Yes, perhaps potentially more than that. And then maybe $100,000 to $150,000 profit per semi-truck, including subsidies and tax credits. In other words, these two vehicles could potentially almost double earnings again. But the market is forward-looking. It can see this potential is on the way, and it will be priced in fairly early. And sure, it could take until 2025 until Cybertruck is at 500,000 a year run rate. And it might take until 2025 until the Giga Nevada extension is complete. But we will be seeing the progress along the whole way, including 4680 ramping and energy density improvements. We do, of course, have Investor Day coming up as well, and if everyone is already feeling bullish about that, then this may very well ride that same tide. Sure, historically we usually see a run-up before these events, and then a sell-off after, or people simply don't believe what Elon has said, like robotaxis or the Cybertruck. But Master Plan Part 3 might be different. Even if there is a minor sell-off afterwards, it just feels like Tesla wants to run and is looking for any excuse it can to return back to a trillion-dollar company. Yes, there's plenty of macros pointing to a recession to come, and yes, there are also potential signs of a soft landing with some of the disinflation that we're seeing. The point being, we don't know how this will go. Partly this new bull run is being named somewhat the "we don't believe you, Jerome Powell bull run," because we have other factors at play, like government debt. The market doesn't believe that the government can support themselves with these high interest rates with so much debt, as they're also subject to the interest payments on their debt. And as we know, the government were already struggling enough before they'd incurred all this additional debt, which may mean we have a lot more inflation to still come, and the government might have to inflate themselves out of their debt, which will reduce the purchasing power of cash. In other words, people with cash are the ones paying for the government debt. This will mean that people want to preserve their value by putting their money into equities, something similar to what happened when Nixon took the US dollar off the gold standard and the S&P rallied, as the US dollar became a fiat currency. This means for the contrarian investor holding cash waiting for a crash, their purchasing power is being reduced each month, making it very stressful waiting for a market correction. Similar to Michael Burry when he shorted the property market in the US before the global financial crisis. His timing was off by a lot, but he did prevail and perhaps got lucky. A lot of times in these scenarios, the bears actually capitulate. The non-believers start believing and end up making similar moves like Isaac Newton and buy close to the top. Bottom line, we are in uncertain economic times. COVID has really messed things up in many ways. The supply chain issues, of course, were a big deal, and obviously did result in some additional transitory inflation, along with the war and oil prices. But I don't think there is any denying now that we are seeing true monetary inflation. Anyway, if this bull run does continue to last for even another year or so, which is possible with elections coming up, then Tesla would have enough time to demonstrate how they truly can justify $1 trillion valuation, or possibly even considerably more. Thanks for listening. Please hit the thumbs up and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter and talk to me on Patreon.